In this video, I will guide you through building your dream music production studio without breaking the bank. Starting out with the bare essentials that are necessary to even begin, we will then progress to adding some super cool gear that will help you create a complete and comfortable setup that will last for years without any additional expenses. And of course, instead of just telling you what you need to buy, I will explain why would you need a particular piece of gear, because maybe you don't necessarily need all of that gear. What's up everyone, Business here, and welcome to my channel, which is all about music production, sound design, Ableton Live, and all things related. Many music producers you see here on YouTube have a really complete and super huge studio with a ton of gear they have acquired over the years. Now I have some bad and some good news for you. So first, here's the bad news. It takes years to build a studio that will cover all needs and necessities. Not only because you would need a full bucket of cash to get all the synths, microphones, studio monitors, hardware compressors and whatnot, but it also takes experience to know what exactly do you need in the first place so you don't end up with a ton of useless gear. But now to the good news. Today's DAWs and computers are enough powerful that you might not even need most of the hardware stuff to be able to make really good music. And I'm talking like the top chart music. And just a side note, this video isn't sponsored by any of the brands mentioned, and I'm only recommending either the gear I use or the brands that I know won't let you down. But again, these are only my recommendations, and make sure to do your own research before investing your own hard-earned money. So without any further ado, let's break it down step by step, starting with the absolute must-haves. The first item on our list is obviously a computer. Without it, you won't be able to do much. And at the beginning, this may be the most expensive item. If you're looking to buy a new one, it doesn't matter if it's a Windows or a Mac. Just focus on a solid CPU, decent amount of RAM, some good storage and quiet fans. And of course, always do your research. In my music production studio, I use the 2020 MacBook Pro 13-inch with an M1 processor, 16 gigs of RAM and 1TB of storage, which is absolutely enough. You could achieve similar or even the same results and performances with an M1 Mac Mini for a fraction of the cost, provided that you have a decent monitor, keyboard and mouse. The second and equally important item on our list is a digital audio workstation, DAW. It is essentially music production software that handles everything from sounds, recording, plugins, mixing, mastering and exporting your music. And there are many options to choose from, such as Ableton Live, FL Studio, Logic, Cubase, just to name a few. Some of them are better suited for specific use cases, such as studio recording or live performances, but they are all great for music production in general. I also recommend doing a little research, but my preferred DAW is Ableton Live. I highly recommend getting it so you can follow along with everything I'm showing on my channel. Bonus tip, in many cases, you can get a free license of Ableton Live Intro when you buy some gear such as Midi Keyboard or USB interface. But if you just like to buy the intro version of Ableton Live, you'll pay around $99 or 79 euros. Now that you have two of these components, you can start making some music. But imagine editing the best photo you ever took on a tiny old screen. You wouldn't be able to properly see the colors or details. The same goes for sound. You won't be able to make music on your laptop speakers or cheap earplugs because you won't hear all the low frequencies or dynamics as they're meant to be heard. Therefore, it will be really nice to properly hear what you are creating. The best choice at the beginning is to get a nice pair of studio monitor headphones. These aren't just any headphones you can get, because for making music, mixing or mastering, they should have a flat profile over the whole frequency spectrum. That means they will not boost basses or highs to make the sound more exciting and groovy. Quite the contrary, they will make the sound more flat so you can properly hear all the frequencies and make accurate decisions and adjustments while mixing or mastering your awesome tracks. And also, these cannot be Bluetooth headphones for a few reasons. Well, Bluetooth transmission takes time, which is called latency. It is a small amount of time, but significant enough that you won't be able to play to the rhythm on your keys or with the guitar. It also loses some of the quality as the sound has to be compressed before sending and decompressed back in your headphones. The ones I highly recommend are from AudioTechnica, starting with the budget ATH M20X model and ending on an industry standard ATH M50X. I use the ones in between M40X. I have added links to the gear in the description, so you can check the actual prices and even buy them straight away if you wish to do so. So these were the three most important things: a computer, a DAW and a monitor headphones. And if we won't take the computer into the equation, you can start making music for as little as $150 or quite similar in euros. This is the most basic set, surprisingly used by many producers, and you too can make really good music with it. But let's not stop here, as I feel that this particular setup is quite restricting and you can get so much more with just a few more not so expensive pieces of gear. So okay, let's see what next. USB audio interface. Now this is where we're getting a little bit more serious about making music. The USB audio interface is a really important piece of gear for a few key reasons. It is an interface, so it allows us to connect instruments we might want to record, like an electric guitar, a bass guitar, or also a microphone if you feel like singing or rapping to our beats. It can connect to speakers, making it easier to control loudness thanks to a large volume knob at the front. It will also help the computer's CPU with audio processing and diminish the latency effect that can sometimes happen while recording on a weaker computer. When you're starting, I totally recommend the small but mighty Focusrite Scarlett Solo 3rd generation, or an Arturia Mini Fuse 1. The latter has also a cool one-port USB hub at the back, which can be useful to connect something like a Midi keyboard, especially when your laptop has only 2 USB-C ports like mine. By the way, if you want to check the prices, links to these interfaces are in the description below the video. Now, to the most overlooked pieces of gear that are also crucial. Imagine this. You've received a package with all fresh and new gear, you're unpacking it and you want to test it out, but you quickly realize you can't connect anything because the cables don't necessarily match your other gear, or there were no cables included with the gear at all. So, read those gear specs beforehand, map out your connections on paper, and take notes of what cables or connectors you need. It'll save you lots of headaches. Many producers you might watch here on YouTube write melodies and chords using only a piano roll inside a DAW with just a mouse or a touchpad. But that could be like writing an essay with a non-screen keyboard. There's another way of inputting MIDI notes, a Midi Keyboard, also known as a MIDI interface. It looks like a piano, but it can't produce sounds on its own. It has to be connected to a computer and work with the software that translates the MIDI information you press with the keys into a sound. Some keyboards are small, some are huge, but most of them are quite universal, with drum pads for finger drumming and knobs or faders to control sound characteristics or other parameters in your DAW. Currently, I'm using an Arturia Minilab Mark II, which has it all, but there's a newer version of Minilab 3 that costs about the same. Other brands worth mentioning are Akai with their popular MPK Mini lineup, Novation, and many more. Links to the recommendations are in the description. Using a MIDI keyboard, like any other piano-type instrument, involves some initial learning, but the skills gained will be a great investment for the future when you'll be making even more music. You quickly realize that it is way easier to quickly play that simple bass line on the keyboard instead of clicking manually with the mouse in the piano roll and forgetting how it went in the middle of a second bar. Plus, it's great for coming up with new ideas by just experimenting and trying note combinations that just work together. Okay, so you are already making some sick beats, but as in most music genres, you might want to introduce some vocals to your music. Without much thinking, you will know you need a microphone. There are many types of microphones that serve different purposes, so make sure you will do some research on what exactly will help you in your studio. I have this large diaphragm condenser microphone, AKG P120. Again, link is in the description, which is relatively inexpensive and ticks all the boxes from recording vocals and instruments to being my workhorse while recording these YouTube videos. And also, you don't want to be holding your microphone in your hands while recording. So don't forget about nice sturdy mic stands and a pop shield to eliminate unwanted blows and pop sounds in your vocals. Microphones usually don't come with a cable included, so keep that in mind. And for the very first time, I will not recommend this particular pop shield from Sub-Zero. It serves its purpose more or less, but the quality leaves a lot to be desired. So if you have a better option, let me know in the comments down below. Another crucial element are the monitor speakers. Mixing and mastering with headphones is doable and can produce surprisingly good effects, but it might be easier and more precise with good monitor speakers. Sound treatment will probably be a good idea at this time as well, since the monitors will only give their 100% in a well-treated room. I happen to have these ones. Let the size not fool you. They might be small, but they're super powerful and well suited to smaller spaces that aren't necessarily treated. IK Multimedia iLoud Micro. Because there's no point of getting high-end speakers, just not to be able to use their full potential. As you can tell, the list goes on, but don't worry too much. Rome wasn't built in a day. Take it easy, one step at a time. Always do your research on what will work in your case, because everyone is different and each producer has their own signature sound and workflow on how to make music. And of course, don't get trapped in the mindset that more gear will make you a better producer, or that getting some stuff will fix problems. Some of the things are mentioned here just to make things easier, not just to make things possible. Because for example, you can do exactly the same music with the MIDI keyboard or with the piano roll. The latter will just only be a bit more difficult and time consuming. and it also depends on your skill level. But let's say you've already set up with the most important stuff and you want to add some sparkly bits and pieces to make your creativity flow uninterrupted. Let's have a look at some more ideas that could expand your music production studio and also be useful. Sound treatment of the room. Super important to be able to hear everything right. Second, bigger Midi keyboard for piano lovers or finger drummers. Electric guitar if you're into rock, metal, lo-fi or any type of music actually. Bass for that juicy analog grooviness. Is that even a word? Well, now it is. Electric drums if you have a bit more space in your studio. Second screen, that is actually very useful, especially when working on the 13-inch laptop. Coffee maker, obviously, to survive. VSTs, plugins, sample packs. But don't stress about that yet. Learn whatever comes with your DAW first and you'll be fine for a long time. And also, there are loads of really good VSTs you can get for free. And speaking of free VSTs, well, I know quite a few nice ones that might actually help, regardless of whether you're a beginner or a pro. To find out what's really worth downloading and installing, check out this video next. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Thanks so much for watching and see you guys in the next video. Cheers!